Chicago Bears on to the NFC Championship game. They beat Seattle 35-24. They're going to host the Packers. Joined right now by a sixth-year NFLer. Had a career-high 5 picks this year. 3 years now with the Chicago Bears. Chris Harris is my guest. Chris, great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Appreciate the visit. First things first, you suffered a hip pointer in that game Saturday. You were unable to finish the game. How does the hip feel right now?
It's a little sore, man. Just treating the heck out of it yesterday, today, pretty much all week. So I can't miss this game, man. This is a game that I cannot miss.
You know, they always say, unless there's a bone coming out of the skin, you're going to be there. I mean, essentially, what could keep you out of that game? What would have to happen for you not to play?
Man, my leg would have to fall off, pretty much. This is a huge game. They're saying this is the biggest game ever in the city of Chicago as far as sporting event in Chicago, and I definitely want to be a part of that.
Hey, Chris, lay that out. The fans in Chicago are acting just like that, right? Like it's even bigger than the Super Bowl. Why would a game like this be bigger than the Super Bowl?
Well, to me, it's not bigger than the Super Bowl because that's the ultimate prize. That's what you play for. But here, the fans have such a hate towards Green Bay. I mean, I have a professional dislike for them. But it's just huge. This is one of the longest-going rivalries in the NFL. So to have that matchup the first time, well, actually the second time ever in history, it's big in the playoffs.
Hey, Chris, make the distinction for me. What's the difference between hatred and a professional dislike?
Hatred is just you just hate a person. Like I don't hate them off of the field. I don't just hate them off the field. When I'm on the field, I hate them. So being professional about it. When we get in between the lines, I absolutely despise them. Once the game's all said and done, I see them in the street. I'll give Donald Driver a high five or something.
Chris Harris joining us on the program. What happens, though? That's what you do when you see him in the street. What happens when you see him across the middle?
When I see him across the middle, I'm trying to knock his ass out.
Talk about the challenges that they pose right now. All of a sudden, they've got 4 guys that are making plays and putting up big numbers. They've got a lot of weapons, and they've got a quarterback who's playing at the very top of his game. Talk about the challenge in going up against that offense.
That's going to be a huge challenge. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And Aaron Rodgers is a beast. He's a monster. He's putting up monster numbers. They arguably have the best receiving core that I've played against this season. So they're definitely a dangerous team. And their defense is pretty much playing lights out ball right now.
Do you see Aaron Rodgers any differently now than you did before that game against Atlanta? Or do you think to yourself, damn, that guy's even more dangerous than I thought?
No, we knew he was dangerous coming into the game. We saw him last game of the season, and right before that, he hung up about 45 points on a very good New York Giants defense. So we know exactly what type of talent he brings, what type of threat he possesses.
Chris Harris is my guest. When you played them in Week 17, you had a chance to knock them out, and it didn't happen. In the back of your mind, did you think, we're going to see these guys again?
I did. I told Donald Driver after the game, I said, we'll see y'all in the NFC Championship game in Chicago. I knew they were that good. We wanted to get them knocked out. We weren't able to do it. Lost 10-3. So I had a feeling that we would see them again in the championship game.
We're talking to Chris Harris. Early on, Chris, in fact, pretty much from the jump, you were blogging and tweeting that this team could be special. This is a team that could go the distance or do something significant. What made you think so?
When I got traded here in April, going through OTAs, just seeing the talent we had on defense, it was unbelievable. I felt great about all the guys we had around. We had Urlacher coming back healthy. I already knew what Pep could do, playing with him for 3 seasons, playing for Briggs. I just felt very good about the defense. And in my opinion, defense wins championships. And I was very confident in the defense, the nucleus of guys we have here. And then when training camp came, then when we started out the season 3-0, I said to myself, yeah, we're legit.
Chris, I'm a big Rod Marinelli fan. Talk about his philosophy. Is he one of those guys who's ball, then the hit, or is he hit first, then go for the ball?
Oh, man, he definitely wants us to put a punish on any ball carrier who has it. But we definitely harp on turnovers. He always shows this glaring stat in the NFL as far as the turnover margin goes. If you're +1, you're like 70-75% chance of winning. If you're +2, you're about 80% chance of winning. And if you're +3 or more, you're at about a 90% chance of winning. So, and it's held true throughout the entire season. So that's one thing he definitely harps on is getting the turnovers.
And you've been there before. You spent your first couple of years with the Bears, and then you were sent to the Panthers, and then the Bears traded back for you last spring. What's it like coming back a second time as compared to the first time?
It wasn't that big of a difference for me as far as getting back in here because I retained the information from the first time, so it wasn't a huge learning curve for me. There were a lot of the same guys here. I felt very confident coming back. I had another option to go another place, but I wanted to come back here because I was familiar with everybody and I knew how good this team could be.
Hey, Chris, what's the best way to get to Aaron Rodgers? Because like any other quarterback, if you hit him and disrupt him, you stand a much better chance. But the guy is so elusive and makes so many plays outside the pocket. What's the best way to attack him?
You got to get pressure up the middle, I think. We have a great edge rush. We definitely got to get pressure up the middle to kind of force him out and let those guys on the outside do their jobs and get up the field and hopefully contain them. You got to kind of rush them, kind of like we did Mike Vick when we played them later on in the season, because he's such a threat to run. He escapes to pass, but he can beat you with his feet. He's a very mobile quarterback and extends plays.
How much respect do you have for their running game? Do they have your attention, or are you not sold that they can run the ball consistently?
Yeah, they definitely have my attention. You saw what they did the first game in the playoffs with a Starks. They're kind of a running back by committee. So any given day, you don't know which one will have a big day. So we definitely respect their running game, but our goal is to come out and kind of stop their running game so their play action isn't very effective and try to make them one-dimensional.
Chris, give me your thoughts on Julius Peppers and the impact he's had. What's he meant to the defense and on your secondary in particular?
Oh, man, he means a lot, especially to us in the back end. The pressure that we've been getting this season, I think we had 16 turnovers just at the secondary, not to mention what the linebackers had. So, we can't get those interceptions if it wasn't for a good rush. And he kind of sets everybody else up. Other guys on the defensive line have definitely been benefiting from him getting double-teamed and triple-teamed. So they're getting one-on-ones, and we have very good players up front who can beat those one-on-ones.
Hey, what's it like this week for you? You're in a town that lives and dies with that football team. As you mentioned, the fans there think this is the biggest football game ever. So it's hard to say that you're just going to treat it like any other game. As a guy playing in that game who's got a chance to make an impact, what's the emotion? I mean, are you nervous? Are you anxious? Are you hyped up? What do you feel like right now on Tuesday before a game like that?
Right now, I'm kind of geeked. I got to bring myself down a little bit. I'm very excited. This is a huge game. I was here when we won the NFC Championship game in '06. And, like you said, this is a little bigger because of the team you're playing. It's the Green Bay Packers. This is only the second time ever it's happened. So I'm very geeked. Guys are going to be excited. But at the end of the day, once the game starts, you're going to have to kind of settle down and just play football. The emotions only take you so far.
It's so different, though. Like you just laid out, Chris, my final thought, it's Green Bay. It's not only a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but you've got to get through Green Bay. Well, they've got to come through you. It's not like '06 and that there was the Saints. I mean, there's a chance to play for the title, but it's Green Bay. That changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the tradition is so rich. You got the Green Bay Packers, the Bears, playing to win the Hallis Trophy, and the winner of that gets a chance to play to win the Lombardi Trophy. So, I mean that speaks a lot. Both of those trophies are named after very, very significant guys to both organizations. So that makes it such a huge game.
Got to ask you finally, you're on Twitter, you're active on Twitter. Do you like it, or do you have those days where, like a lot of people, sometimes you love Twitter, sometimes you hate it, or is it always a good thing?
I love it. It's a good thing. I interact with guys. I probably interact more than most. You have your good days and bad days, and it's tough to have a bad game because to fans we're inhuman, so we're supposed to have good games every single time we step on the field. So you get a few comments here and there, but I take the good with the bad. I enjoy it. I love it.
I bet you'll pick up some right now if you want to follow him at ChrisHarrisNFL at ChrisHarrisNFL. Hey, Chris, I know it's a huge week. Great to visit with you. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
I enjoyed it, Chris. Good job. At ChrisHarrisNFL. And he is one of those guys who does interact a lot with the fans. Ryan Clark used to be, and then he told me last week he quit.